You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Nostalgic Gaming Stories. In today's episode, I'll be talking about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. A very nostalgic game for me, and it has a lot of cool stuff in it. It's a pretty expansive game with a lot of cool little neat things you can do, including little tricks that you're not supposed to be able to, and a few glitches and cheats and stuff that are pretty cool too. So first off, I'm going to talk about a couple of things before I get to the main topic of this video. Knights of the Old Republic is a fantastic game. I played it a lot. It was one of the first games I had on the original Xbox. I got it when I got my Xbox. Obviously, I'd played other Xbox games at friends' houses before, but I didn't get an Xbox until around 2005-ish, so when I got it, the games I got with it were Knights of the Old Republic, Halo 2, Jet Set Radio Future, and a couple others. Well, playing Knights of the Old Republic, I've played through it multiple times, and I've probably experienced literally everything you can experience in that game. I have never been able to trigger the secret dark side ending that you can only get with a female character, although I have seen it. I think the problem is maybe you have to be good until, like, the very end, and then you turn evil, because it didn't give me the dialogue option to actually trigger the secret ending. But anyway, some cool things you can do in the game on the original Xbox version is, if you have a controller plugged into port 4, you can change the pitch of people's voices. So if you hold down black button on player 4 controller, you can actually lower the pitch of characters' voices, and if you hold down the white button, it raises the pitch of characters' voices, making it much more high-pitched. I found this incredibly funny to do with characters such as Mission, because when you do it with Mission, it makes it really funny with some of the dialogue she has. Because, if you don't know, when you talk to Mission, she usually says, "Hey there, what can I do for you?" But if you do that with, like, the really deep voice, she's like, "Hey there, what can I do for you?" I found it hysterical as a kid. Another cool trick you can do when you have a fourth controller plugged in is right before the battle with Darth Malak, the final battle in the game. If you hold down the right trigger, the left trigger, the black button, and the white button on controllers 1 and 4, I might have that combination wrong, but it's something close to that. If you hold down that button combination on both controllers, it triggers a secret ending where you go in and instead of fighting Darth Malak, you turn him into a Twi'lek dancer using some magical force power that doesn't make any sense, but it makes it so you skip the fight and automatically win, and it's really funny. You can also do fake level-ups, where you level up different characters, giving them skills that your character would be getting and not them, typically. So you can level up characters with skills they should not be able to have, such as you can turn anyone into a Jedi, and you can give anyone persuasion skills, although I wouldn't recommend giving them your persuasion skills, because it doesn't actually do anything. Making anyone into a Jedi is pretty fun. As far as whether or not they can hold a lightsaber, it depends. The glitch kind of just decides to give people the ability to hold the lightsaber whenever it wants to. So, a lot of the times, it will not give them a lightsaber. But, yeah, that's just a few of the things you can do in that game. Today the main topic, obviously, is going to be the Galaxy Droid. And if you're unfamiliar with the Galaxy Droid, I'll go ahead and give a quick explanation. The Galaxy Droid is a developer tool which appears in the cockpit of the Ebonhawk, your spaceship, and allows you to access any part of the game, including worlds that have been destroyed and places you haven't unlocked yet. It was made by developers, basically, to access any part of the game whenever they need it. I think it might have been an early version of the Galaxy Map, because it serves essentially the same function, but allows you to go to any point in the game. And it also talks to you and says something like, "Hello, Master, where can I take you today?" And, "We have arrived. Isn't space travel wonderful?" Something like that. Also, when you get the Galaxy Droid, you get a Swoop Droid. Now, the Swoop Droid is supposed to be able to take you basically as a fast travel system to any part of the planet you're on. The Swoop Droid obviously was not kept in the game either, so its fast travel system does not work. However, the Galaxy Droid does work. If you try to go back to the Endar Spire and leave to get on the ship, the game will immediately crash, because obviously it's not coded to be able to go to the Endar Spire with an entire party with you. And even if you try to go on your own, it'll just crash, because it can't give you Trask as a teammate. If you go back to Terrace, you can leave, and you can sometimes redo quests, sometimes you cannot. Again, the game just kind of picks and chooses when it works. The first time I did it, it let me replay all of Terrace, up until the point where you're supposed to get Canderous back, at which point it would not let me progress, because I already had Canderous with me, so obviously I couldn't continue it. Another side effect of that, you cannot get into the Sith base, because a side effect of the Galaxy Droid is it replaces T3M4, your little droid that helps you get into the Sith base. It replaces him with another Zalbar, so you'll have 2 Zalbars on your team. And on top of that, every time you go in and out of your ship, Zaalbar will, like, multiply in the cockpit, and it will eventually get filled with Wookiees. You'll have a whole ship filled with Zaalbars. I remember my very first playthrough of the game, I came across this completely by accident. I didn't actually check in the cockpit and see the Galaxy Droid itself, but I did definitely trigger it, because it had the same effect where you're in the ship right after the Leviathan, and it's playing the main menu music. I was confused by this, so I left the ship and got back in. At which point I noticed that there were 2 Zaalbars standing there. I left again, 3 Zaalbars standing there, etc. I continued the game as normal, but one problem that had was I did not have T3M4. One thing I do want to note is when you get the Galaxy Droid, the second you leave your ship and go back in, the Galaxy Droid will despawn. So I recommend if you get it, create a separate save file for the sole purpose of using the Galaxy Droid, because as soon as you go somewhere else and save, it will despawn. So if you go on Terrace, you're stuck on Terrace, because you're not going to be able to get back to the Ebon Hawk. You can only go back to the hideout. If you skip ahead to the Starforge system planet, you'll be incredibly underleveled. I highly do not recommend that, because you'll get killed pretty easy. If you go to the Starforge itself, I think the game crashes, because you haven't done all the dialogue with Bastila in order to trigger how it's supposed to play out after that. When I discovered the Galaxy Droid, it was on my very first playthrough. Obviously, I didn't see the droid itself, but I did eventually find it on my second or third playthrough and actually see the droid. And when I actually saw the droid, I was like, what the hell is this? So I looked it up on the internet, and you might not believe me for this next part, but this is 100% true, and I promise that. When I looked it up, there was nothing about it online. Nobody else had found this and posted about it. Now, I'm sure other people had also come across it in a similar vein that I had, but no one else had any idea what the fuck a Galaxy Droid was online. And so I myself felt really special because I found it before anyone else did. Again, I'm sure other people discovered it before I did, just no one posted about it online. But I felt special about it. Obviously now, there's all sorts of tutorials on how to trigger it, and I know how to trigger it intentionally now. I will say there are 2 methods. There's the Gino Haradan method, which is the hard method, and there's the Jolie Bindo method, which is the easy method. The Gino Haradan one is the one that I did the first time. The Jolie Bindo one is the one that I typically do when I'm trying to do it intentionally, because it's a lot easier. Not that either of them are particularly difficult, it's just easier to remember the steps for the Jolie method. For those of you who want to try the Galaxy Droid out yourself, all you have to do is make sure that you get HK-47 before you go to the Leviathan, so make sure that Tatooine is one of the first 3 worlds you do, and that you get HK-47. You purchase them from the droid shop. Second off, make sure you do not go to Kashyyyk. Do not go to Kashyyyk as one of the first 3 worlds you do. If you do, you'll get Jolie, and that will cause a problem. You can go to the planet, just don't go to the under part of Kashyyyk, and don't get Jolie. I don't even recommend going to Kashyyyk, because you'll lose Zaalbar if you do. Do not go to Kashyyyk. Do Tatooine, Manon, and Korriban as your first 3 planets. Make sure you have HK-47, and after you complete the 3rd planet and you do the Leviathan, HK-47 will give some commentary about the big revelations you get. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but after he's given you some dialogue regarding the big revelations you just found out, you want to say something along the lines of, "But I didn't find you, you found me." It's very important you say that line of dialogue to HK-47. Because, since you don't have Jolie, there's actually going to be a missing script in the game. Because Jolie at that point is supposed to say, "The Force works in mysterious ways." But since you don't have him, the game will just cut the dialogue and you'll be able to free roam the ship during the cutscene. And now that you're able to free roam the ship, you will be able to access the Galaxy Droid. Plain and simple. It's really easy to do, and I would highly recommend trying it out if you want to. There is a similar thing in Knights of the Old Republic 2, known as the cheat node. I have not yet been able to trigger the cheat node. Basically, you have to run up to a specific wall really quick and talk to it, but I've never been able to do it, frankly, because I don't know where that wall is. I'd have to look up a tutorial, but I'll probably try it sometime. But yeah, I highly recommend Knights of the Old Republic, a very nostalgic game for me. I used to play it all the time. I was super obsessed with it. Galaxy Droid is a really cool feature in the game, and I'd say try it out. It's fun, and it makes the game more interesting. You can go back to Terrace and wipe your way through the arena as a Jedi and just kill everyone super quickly. Again, I want to preface this by saying that's if the game wants to, because sometimes it won't let you redo that. There was actually a time where I was going to redo that for one of my subscriber specials, but for whatever reason, it wouldn't let me redo anything. I was just roaming Terrace with nothing to do. But anyway, this has been Fugitive Red-Eye with another episode of Nostalgic Gaming Stories. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Subscribe to Fugitive Red-Eye.